After a 5-day stopover in Hong Kong and a few days in Auckland, we make our way to Dunedin in South Island. Dunedin is the Gaelic name for Edinburgh, and the city was founded in 1848 by members of the Free Church of Scotland. Local tourism still somewhat trades on this connection. The Scottish connection is obvious in the First Presbyterian Church, which dominates the city centre. There's also an Anglican cathedral on the Octagon. There's a magnificent Edwardian railway station. The Tyeri Gorge Scenic Railway starts from here, but we didn't get the chance to go on that trip. We're staying at the Bluestone on George, a motel about 15 minutes walk or so from the city centre. Our room is extremely well appointed and in many ways is more like a luxury apartment than a hotel room. Dunedin is at the head of Otago Harbour, which is a long inlet to the sea, and we took a day-long drive around Otago Peninsula. Larnoch Castle is New Zealand's only castle. In fact, it's just a large country house built by a wealthy merchant at the end of the 19th century. Taiaroa Head is home to the only mainland breeding colony of royal albatrosses in the world. They share the site with Stewart Island shags. Penguin Place is a privately run reserve for the rare yellow-eyed penguin. A series of cleverly disguised trenches and hides allows you to observe these shy creatures without disturbing them. The yellow-eyed penguin is unique to this part of New Zealand, and sadly 80% of this season's chicks did not survive. Heading back along the peninsula towards Dunedin now. St Clair Beach is a surfer's paradise just outside Dunedin. About 50 miles north of Dunedin are the Moeraki Boulders. These strange boulders were formed millions of years ago by concretion on the seabed. Some of them have broken open and seem almost organic inside. One last tourist site in Dunedin. Baldwin Street is officially, according to the Guinness Book of Records, the steepest street in the entire world. Invercargill is the most southerly city in New Zealand and one of the most southerly cities anywhere in the world. We're staying at the Railway Hotel, much restored and modernised, but still relatively basic. About 15 miles away is Bluff, which is effectively the southernmost tip of New Zealand. The sculptural anchor chain refers to the Maori legend that has Stewart Island as the anchor to the canoe, which is South Island. Stirling Point is New Zealand's equivalent to Land's End. East of Invercargill, there's a scenic drive through the Catlins area, and we arrive at Curio Bay. There's another colony of yellow-eyed penguins here. And a petrified forest that you can see when the tide goes out. Porpoise Bay nearby. Our local landowner had a sense of humour. The road from Invercargill to Te Anau follows New Zealand's southern scenic route. This is Gemstone Beach, and this is McCracken's Rest. Lake Te Anau is the largest lake in South Island, and the town of Te Anau is the commercial centre of Fiordland and a place to stay if you wish to explore Milford and Doubtful Sounds, which is what we plan to do. Glacial Rock Cottages is where we're staying, on a farm which is owned and run by a man who is also the local policeman. Very well appointed and supplied with fresh milk and eggs from the farm. There was even underfloor heating in the shower room. In the morning, it's Lake Manipuri for the start of our Doubtful Sound expedition. We cross Lake Manipuri by boat and arrive at the jetty by the power station. From here, a coach takes us across the mountain to Doubtful Sound, stopping to let us have our first view. Then onto our cruise vessel, and we see a rather larger one, Pacific Sun. That's the road we came down in the coach. Before we get back on the boat to cross Lake Manipuri again, we get to visit the underground power station. Another fine morning, and we're looking at the Southern Alps on our way to Milford Sound. The Homer Tunnel operates a one-way system during the peak season. The view of Mitre Peak as our boat sets off into Milford Sound. Stirling Falls. New Zealand fur seals practicing synchronized swimming. Yellow-crested penguins, apparently an unusual sight at this time of year. That's the open sea out there. Bottlenose dolphins have come to play. Our last look at the Stirling Falls on our way back. On the drive back to Te Anau, a stop at Lake Gunn. Hollyford Camp was built in the 1930s to house the original road workers, and now you can rent them as holiday accommodation. On our drive to Queenstown, we stop to watch the Kingston Flyer getting up steam and heading off on its short journey. a view of Lake Wakatipu from the Villa del Lago, where we have a rather well-appointed apartment. Into Queenstown, and there's the Earnslaw, almost 100 years old and still going strong. This time we didn't go on the Earnslaw, we went on this more modern little boat for a tour around some parts of the lake. Joe was incredibly brave and we went up in the gondola. From 450 metres you get a good view of Queenstown and a large part of the lake. There are other frightening things to do up here as well, typical of New Zealand. There's a luge and there are jumping off points for bungee jumps. The Earnslaw's heading out, and behind that you can see Queenstown Gardens on the promontory. This boat apparently once belonged to Sir Winston Churchill. Back to Auckland for the last few days of our stay in New Zealand, and a return visit to Muriwai to see the colony of gannets. A day in Auckland, and Queen Mary 2 is in, along with 2 other cruise ships. We didn't go up the Sky Tower on this occasion, but we did watch a couple of other people coming down the quick way. A drive out to Mission Bay with a view of Rangitoto Island in the background. Later in the afternoon, it's Devonport across the harbour from Auckland. From here you get the best view of the Auckland skyline. and the cruise ships. And in the evening, it's football. Tafanui was Barbara's favourite place on earth, and it was the last place she came to.